Hey, welcome back to the channel. A few weeks ago, I did a video on how to pick this big ass bike up off the ground. The response was great. The conversation in the comment section was really good. Lots of great things in there and some follow-up questions in there. So I picked up 4 of them that I'm going to address today. You'll notice I've got the Aprilia out here, so we're going to tip this bike over and pick it up as well, because it's a very different bike to pick up than this big ass bike. Smaller, but harder to pick up actually. All right, let's get to it. I have turned the Goldwing sideways here. I have removed all of the T-Rex guards off the side, put back on the OEM hardware. So that's the OEM crash bar back here and up there. So now you can see the OEM stuff on the bike. And I left the covers off so we could actually just have a conversation about this. The comments I want to address is, good video for only dropping a bike halfway. Try dropping it flat and picking it up. And I think, first of all, that's a valid comment, especially if you don't know anything about big touring bikes. If you're more of an adventure bike rider, it really applies to adventure bikes. Touring bikes don't really lay flat on the ground. I think they're designed not to lay flat on the ground. They are big, fat bikes. They are wide bikes. I have my Aprilia, I've ridden adventure bikes, I've ridden dirt bikes. This is by far the widest bike I've ever owned. And they're designed on purpose to be that way. They're comfortable. So they have crash bars that are down low. They have their weight on the Goldwing is slung down low. A Harley, the weight's way up here. But the Goldwing, the weight is slung very low. The crash guards are here. You've got saddlebags here that get in the way. So you really can't lay this bike flat. If you have an accident, you are likely to stay on the side crash bags. If you watch accidents of Goldwings, you'll note they generally don't lay all the way over. Here's why. When you lay a Goldwing down onto its flat, it's still way off the ground. If you come down here and look, it's on these crash bars. These crash bars are now holding the bike up. You can really lay this bike flat, but let me show you something. I'm gonna put this bike flat for you. We're gonna tip it all the way over onto its side. I'm gonna be very careful here because it'd be very bad for your mirror, by the way, which is why I didn't do it in the other video. All right, so now I'm on my saddlebag in the rear and I'm on my front here on the mirror. So that bike is now flat, but watch this. This bike doesn't like to lay here. I'm gonna pick it up with one arm and put it back up on its crash pegs. That's not hard. Literally, I think my 80-year-old mom could probably do it. She might throw her back out. Dad, certainly. Mom, maybe. So this is just not that hard. That's why I didn't address it. This bike laying flat on the ground is not a big deal. You can literally lift it up with one arm. It's not a heavy bike from there. But I can tell you, if you go down on this bike and you dump it all the way onto its handlebars and its mirror, you're probably not going to be in a mood to get up and pick this bike up, because to tip this thing all the way over, you would pivot all the way over to the ground as well. You would likely be very hurt. So not a real concern. It's not an off-road bike, although I took mine in the dirt and crashed it. It's just not a dirt, it's not used that way. This is a big, fat touring bike for comfort. That's why. All right, so I think we addressed that one. All right, next question. It's all well and good when you're on asphalt, but what happens when you're on a dirt road and every time you pick the bike up, it wants to slide away from you? That is a really damn good question. Because we're tilting the bike up, your wheels have to stay fixed in place. If your wheels will slide, your bike will slide away from you and you won't pick it up. I don't care if you're in gear, your brakes on, front brakes locked up. If those wheels slide that way, you're not picking the bike up. Now, if you watch that video, I was on an Indian reservation when I was picking my Goldwing up, and I was on soft, loamy sand, so the sand actually did slide. So I had to deal with this in that situation. And I'll tell you my answer to that question. I carry these guys with me. These are little chalks. Really easy when I got them in the trailer. They fit in the saddlebags, but they are metal and they're heavy. So I do carry these with me whenever we go out touring. For self-recovery. I come from a background of Jeeping and stuff, so I'm always thinking self-recovery. So what you do is you got these cleats in, you put these in front of your tires, and your tires sit right here, and you can roll up against it, and they hold your tire in place. That's actually what I did at Wounded Knee. I pulled these out, put them on the other side of the tire, locked my tires in place, and that kept the tires from sliding away from me. But if you don't want to carry those big hunks of metal, I could have used rocks. You can use sticks. You can, I've done this, roll up a bundle of clothes and stick them to your tire so where your tire hits, they hit the clothes and you can pivot up. The key is you've got to stop the tire from sliding. If your tires slide, stop what you're doing, put the bike back down because you're not going to pick it up. Just go ahead, put it back down and chalk it. Figure out a way to chalk those tires in place and get them to stop sliding away from you. The next thing I want to cover is the great video you should have covered picking it up from the kickstand side. And I think you're right. It's a fair assessment. I think I skipped over it because functionally it's exactly the same. There is no difference between picking it up on the kickstand side versus picking it up against the kickstand side. The only real difference is when you get to the very top, you can just kind of let go of the bike and it'll tip over onto the kickstand if it's going the other way. On this side, you got to be a little more careful when you pick it up, but it is exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do it for you here. I put the T-Rex guards back on because that will make it easier. Believe it or not, I've picked up the bike quite a few times today. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. We're going to take our kickstand up. Now it's just like the other one. We're in the same position we were when we didn't have the kickstand on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our handlebar in where we need it. Make sure our mirror's folded in there, both at the wing. I've got a wing vent. Grab this bar right here, get our back straight, lean down, keep our feet out, slowly tilt this bike down to the ground till those crash guards hit. These crash guards are nice because they're taller, so the bike isn't nearly as far. All right, so we are on the side here, and we need to pick the bike up. And there's functionally no difference here at this point. We're going to do exactly what we did before. We're going to grab this handlebar, we're going to grab our luggage guard, we're going to get our feet out in front of our knees, we're going to straighten our back up, we're going to lean back on the bike, and we're just going to walk the bike backwards again. We're just tilting it. Remember, we're not lifting this bike up. So the first option you have here is to get it to here, look down, and start to wrestle that kickstand into place. That's an easy option because you never actually have to let go of the bike. You never have to balance it. You're just kind of fighting with it. So that's a pretty easy option to take. But there's another choice with that kickstand you can take here. So we're going to go ahead and do it again. This time when we get it to the very top of the rotation, where it kind of starts to balance, we're just going to spin around on the bike. And now we can look down and we can go up higher. So this kickstand moves a lot easier. And then tilt it back down. That's really it. There's no magic to doing it on either side. They're exactly the same. One way you have to fight with the kickstand, the other way you don't. It's all about emergency brake on. You can put your Velcro around your front brake if you need to. Making sure it's in gear if you've got a manual. So really there's no difference here. That's why I didn't really show it. So hopefully if you're going to practice with your bike, if it's going to make you feel better, do both sides. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to drop it to the other side, which you don't want to do because you got to pick it up again. But that's really the worst thing that's going to happen to you. All right, the next comment hit a bit close to home for me, and I'm going to paraphrase here. Basically, if you can't pick it up, you shouldn't be riding it. And I very much disagree with that. I can't pick my car up and I still drive it. I don't have a spare tire or jack and I still drive my car around town. I have roadside assistance for that. That's how I mitigate that risk. I also carry a patch kit and a compressor in case I need to patch the tire on my car in an emergency in the middle of nowhere if I'm driving somewhere. So that's how I mitigate that risk. As long as you are not endangering somebody else, then what you do on your bike is up to you. I think once you start endangering other people, that's where you need to stop. So that's really my point here, is that as long as you're comfortable with the risks you're taking, if you're an adventure bike rider and you ride alone in a forest, 100 miles from the nearest piece of civilization, you should really think about the risk you're taking. If you're riding one of these big touring bikes and you're cruising across the country on I-70, odds are somebody's going to come along to help you out here pretty soon, or roadside is only an hour or two away from you. So, you drop your bike, you should be ready to pick it up. And that may mean calling somebody to help you pick it up, or counting on a stranger to help you pick it up. So I totally disagree with that sentiment. I know the next step down from 2 wheels is 3 wheels. You go back to a trike. And that's really your call. And when I get to that point, I'll have to make that decision if it's something I like or not. I stopped snowboarding because the things I like to do on a snowboard got too dangerous for my personal risk tolerance. Backcountry by yourself, dropping a cornice into a couloir is very hazardous by yourself. I carried a spot device so my wife could find me, but that was too much risk tolerance. Over time, I arrived at the conclusion that that was unsafe for me. It didn't happen at the beginning. It was a walk I had to take through my personal journey. And I think that happens to everybody with everything. It's a personal journey. As long as you're not endangering somebody else, totally up to you. That's my personal approach to these things. So just thought I'd share my thoughts on that comment with you. The next thing I want to talk about is picking up a bike that lays flat on the ground. The Tuono here lays very, very flat. It has been in this position a lot of times since I've owned it. So we're going to pick it up. This bike weighs 415 pounds wet. Goldwing's about 900 wet. And I can tell you that this bike is harder to pick up than the Goldwing. That's because it's low to the ground. That is its biggest challenge. It's low to the ground and the weight is up higher than the Goldwing. You'll note that I've put a Velcro strap on the front brake. That helps a ton. It makes it keep from moving, just like putting the emergency brake on the Goldwing. So the thing is, if you try to get on the seat, you'll note that your hips are way below your knees. And this is not a good position to pick anything up in. So we're gonna start by putting our butt on the seat. We're gonna grab that outside handlebar. I don't have anything to grab on this end, so I'm just gonna stabilize. Now, what I'm gonna do is the same thing though. With my butt up high, I'm gonna push backwards on the bike and walk it back, keeping my knees behind my toes the whole way, all the way up into the air, until I get to the point where I can put my kickstand down. Now I showed you how to pick it up first because it's easier to explain how to put it down. We have to start with our butt on the seat to put it down, but we want to end with our butt over the seat when we get to the bottom because we don't want to get our knees down into this position. This is a very bad position to be lifting a lot of weight from. So we've got our bike in gear. We've got the Velcro strap on. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to pick it up, get the kickstand out of the way. Now I've got to get on the seat, in front of the seat when I start, but as I go down, I've got to move my butt over the seat. So I'm going to grab it. Again, no handle back here. Keep looking for a handle. It's not there. So I'm just going to stabilize my hand here. Lock my hips and back into place. I'm retracting my shoulders to force my back into place so I don't accidentally hunch. So I'm just gonna go walking it down. As soon as I get to here, I'm gonna start letting the bike drop under me. And I end up on top of the seat. So that's it. That's how you pick this bike up. All right, we are done playing musical bikes for the day. I am done putting these down and picking them back up, tearing off pieces and putting it back on. I appreciate all the comments in the last video. Love to answer questions. It's just what I like to do. So if you have more questions, put them down below. I'll see what I can do about another video if there's more. We talked about why don't Goldwings lay flat? And it's because they're designed not to. So you can't put this thing flat on its side. It doesn't like to be there. We talked about how to recover your bike if it's in gravel. Get some chocks. You got to get something in front of the tires if you're going to pick this bike up in dirt. We talked about how to pick it up on the kickstand side. Functionally, no different than picking it up on the other side. You just got to make sure you put the kickstand down when you're at the top of the lift. We talked about when do you have to downsize your bike or stop riding, which I don't think you have to as long as you're safe, to paraphrase myself. And lastly, we talked about how do you pick up a bike that lays flat on the ground. That wasn't really a question, but I thought I would show it since I have it here. Again, appreciate all the great comments. I appreciate all the interactivity. Keep it coming. That was a lot of fun. Believe it or not, I had a lot of fun tearing my bike apart again, laying it down, picking it up. I think I did that about 40 or 50 times today. So anyway, keep your wheels down, have a great ride, and hope I answered your questions again.